welcome to the channel. I'm Jake. I'm happy you tuned into the video here today. In this video I'm going to do, I suppose, a bit of a follow-up on my previous upload where I talked about flint and steel. And in this one I'm going to talk about making char with punk wood, right? Because that is a really good option for making char material and is probably about my favorite of the things that I have tried. So first things first, what is punk wood, right? Punk wood then is rotten wood. And here I have a piece of wood here that's pretty well rotten. You can see a lot of that's really soft, kind of funny looking. But this is what I'm looking for right here. You can see it's really soft, really squishy. Let's get a bigger piece. There was one right up here somewhere. That one, that's a little hard. We'll skip that one. So let me get down in here a little bit. Still a little hard. Skip that one. This, though, is ideal. So hold this up here and you can see how big that is, but yet it's very squishy, sort of spongy. Right, that is ideal. That's exactly what I want to use to make charred material right there. So punk wood is of course rotten, and specifically what attacks this is known as white rot. That's pretty well the common lingo for this is white rot, because the microorganisms that attack this and cause it to rot and decompose and decay attack the lignin and some of the cellulose that's in there as well, but primarily the lignin, which is what gives wood structure, right? That's the structural support part of a wood cell in a nutshell, right? So that's why it's nice and soft and spongy. And also cellulose, which this is mostly still full of cellulose. The microorganisms don't attack that so much with white rot, so I still got a lot of that in there, and it's very light colored. So you may notice that wood that has been attacked by white rot is much lighter in color than it would typically be if it were still structurally sound. Alright, so there we go. So that's punk wood, kind of in a nutshell. And so now I'm going to move the camera down here because I've got a little tin, and I'm going to put some of this in there, and then I'm going to char it up and cook it down real good and get it ready for using to build a fire. So we have a tin there, and I'm just going to get some of this stuff that's nice and soft. And it doesn't have to be, you know, the best in the world when it comes to picking your punk wood, but I usually try to do as well as I can to make sure it's pretty soft, because I find that works the best if it's nice and soft. And also you don't really need to worry about whether or not it's in big pieces or if it kind of, you know, crumbles up like that. Crumble that all up. You can put that in there. That'll still work perfectly fine, just like that. So the only thing about using those little bitty tiny fragments like that, where it gets all powdery, is that might be what you wind up using last once you have used everything that's in your tin. So it'll still work perfectly fine though. Get a whole bunch there. And get a little bit more out of this stick here. Let's break that open. There we go. And you can't tell by looking on the camera probably, but some of this is a fair bit damp on the inside here, but not to worry. It will cook down just fine even if it's a bit damp. So nothing to be concerned about there. There's some bugs in that. That's appetizing. Get a little more. I'm trying to get quite a bit in here because this will cook down quite a bit once I get it all charred up and everything. Well, that's a fair bit. We'll just go with that. Now, so I'm gonna be charring this with my little camp stove there. It's a little bit more traditional, maybe a little bit more fun, probably, to do it with a campfire, but this is convenient. I have that on hand, so that's what I'm gonna use. So, let's see here. When it comes to charring tins, I'll talk about that for just a minute. When it comes to charring tins, a lot of people will prefer to place some sort of hole somewhere in the lid, such as in the center of that right there. But it's really not all that necessary most of the time, especially if you're using, pardon me, if you're using something like an Altoids tin or one of the little metal tins that comes with some of the Essie products, which I have a little flint and steel kit inside of one of those tins myself. Really don't need to do anything to that. Those have a hinged lid, so the little openings where the lid is hinged is more than enough to let everything out of the inside of the tin. And the reason for the holes in the tin, I suppose I should mention that, is to allow the gases and smoke and all such things to escape from the inside of the tin. If you were to superheat something the way that you have to do to make this material charred with a completely airtight container, it would explode. So you have to let that stuff out somehow, but it really doesn't take much of a hole. The openings around the hinges on an Altoids tin or something like that, more than enough. Now this one is not hinged, has no holes in it, and it is a relatively snug fit, which I like, because it keeps a lot of moisture out of this when I'm using it a lot, especially. If I let it sit around for a while, it's going to collect moisture. There's just no way around that. But if I'm using it a lot, this will keep the contents very, very dry, very protected inside, because the integrity of this container has not been tampered with by putting a hole in it. Now there is no hole, so to get around that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to place that lid on there at an angle and leave just a little bitty tiny opening right there on that side. I doubt you'll be able to see it on the camera very well, but there is like a fingernail thickness hole right there, a little opening, and that is all I need. So I'm going to use this little stove here. I'm going to go ahead and ignite this and place the tin on there, and I'm going to leave it in view of the camera until it is charred and ready to use, so that you can watch the smoke accumulate and blow out and everything, and then see what it looks like once there is no more smoke and gases coming out. So it'll be sped up though, so it doesn't take forever. So I'll go ahead and turn this on. Whoosh, there we go, got fire. Very good. Just gonna set that right there just like that. Scoop that over just a hair. That looks pretty good, and there you can see smoke is already coming out. Hopefully you'll be able to see that on camera. I'm going to check and make sure it's in focus and go get some gloves, because this is going to be hot when it's done, and I'll be back momentarily. go. I let that go for a little while where it didn't really look like any smoke was coming out, but it wasn't picking up on camera, but there was just a little bit of smoke coming out. So I went ahead and left that going there where it looked like nothing was happening. And you may also have noticed that I cut the video in half, even though I said I was going to leave it going the whole time because I ran out of fuel in my other fuel canister, so I had to change that out. Now then, wait for it to cool. I can hear it kind of crackling in there, so it's making some interesting sounds. But I'm going to let that cool off. I'm going to go ahead and actually get a glove here, and I'm going to pull that off of there and pop the lid down on there all the way like that, and now let that cool until I can touch it with my bare hands, handle it without gloves, because you really ideally want to leave the lid on there until it is cool enough to touch, because if you open it up when it's that hot, all your char will ignite, which is not the end of the world, but not ideal. So I'll let that cool for a little while, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, and we're back now, and this is cool enough to touch now. It's got some buildup of stuff on the bottom there, a little bit dirty. Anyhow, this is cool now, so I'm going to go ahead and take the lid off, if I can get the lid off. Sometimes it's difficult to get the lid open after you char things. Primarily I find because of the smoke residue that builds up inside the lip, right inside the lid. It's very sticky. If I can get that lid off, maybe. There. And there we go. Nice, black, charred, excellent. Let's see here. Yeah, that charred up. That charred up well. Still got a little bit of integrity to it, but it's more brittle than it was before. Leaves a little bit of black on my fingers. Good stuff. Now then, let's check and see if it will catch a spark. And I'm going to leave it in that tin so it doesn't blow away, because it's a little bit windy out here. Use this knife here so I can get to throw a spark. There we go. Haha. Look out. Put that away. Let's get this piece here, which fell apart. That's fine. Get this piece here. There we go. And there we can see ignited char. I believe I was probably out of the frame there for. Ooh, that's getting nice and warm. Yep, that's good. So that works. Go ahead and put that out right there. That's out nice and cold. I'll put the lid back on here and let that extinguish. So there we go. Char successfully made from punk wood and then ignited with a knife. Fun stuff. So, alright, that is the process of collecting and processing and charring punk wood. I hope you enjoyed following along with me on that process and winding up with some fully functional charred material. Pretty fun stuff, but hope you enjoyed that. Hope maybe you found something informational out of it, maybe a little bit entertaining. That's always fun too. I hope you did enjoy the video though. If you did, I would definitely appreciate it if you hit that like button, share the video with your friends, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't done so, and until next time, go forth, enjoy yourself, and always come home safe.